What if everything you believed about changing your habits was wrong? You've been told that change requires motivation, that you need willpower, that successful people are just built different. But what if the real secret to transformation has nothing to do with being stronger or more disciplined? James Clear spent years studying the science of habits. He interviewed Olympic athletes, successful entrepreneurs, and world-class performers, and he discovered something that changed everything. The people who build incredible lives don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. His book Atomic Habits sold over 15 million copies and transformed countless lives, not because it tells you to try harder, but because it shows you exactly how habits work at a biological level and how to use that knowledge to your advantage. Today, I'm going to break down the entire framework, how to destroy the bad habits that are holding you back, and how to build the good habits that will change your life. This isn't motivation, this is a manual. Let's begin. The truth about habits. Before we get into the strategies, you need to understand what a habit actually is. Every habit follows the same four-step pattern. First comes the cue, the trigger that initiates the behavior, then the craving, the motivation or desire behind it. Next is the response, the actual habit you perform. And finally, the reward, the benefit you gain that reinforces the loop. This happens thousands of times every day. You see your phone light up, that's the cue. You feel curious about the notification, that's the craving. You pick up the phone and check it, that's the response. You get a small dopamine hit from the information, that's the reward. Understanding this loop is everything, because once you see how habits are constructed, you can start deconstructing the bad ones and engineering the good ones. James Clear calls this the 4 laws of behavior change. To build a good habit, you need to make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. To break a bad habit, you do the opposite. Make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, and make it unsatisfying. Let's break down each law. Law 1. Make it obvious or invisible. The first law focuses on the cue, the trigger that starts the habit. Most bad habits happen on autopilot. You don't consciously decide to scroll social media for 2 hours. Something triggers it. Maybe it's boredom, maybe it's the phone sitting on your desk, maybe it's a specific time of day. To break a bad habit, you need to identify the cue and make it invisible. If your phone triggers mindless scrolling, put it in another room. If seeing junk food makes you eat it, remove it from your house entirely. If certain people trigger you to drink, limit time with them. The environment always wins. You can't rely on willpower when the cue is staring you in the face. Remove the trigger and the habit loses its power. For building good habits, do the opposite. Make the cue obvious and unavoidable. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow so you see it before bed. Want to work out in the morning? Sleep in your gym clothes with your shoes by the door. Want to drink more water? Place a full glass on your desk before you start working. Clear also introduces habit stacking. You attach a new habit to an existing one. The formula is simple. After I do current habit, I will do new habit. After I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. After I sit down at my desk, I will write my priorities for the day. After I finish dinner, I will read for 10 minutes. The existing habit becomes the cue for the new one. This uses the power of routine to your advantage. Law 2. Make it attractive or unattractive. The second law focuses on the craving, the desire that drives the behavior. We do things because we expect them to feel good. The anticipation of reward is what moves us to action. Bad habits often win because they deliver immediate pleasure, even if they create long-term pain. To break a bad habit, you need to reframe how you see it. Instead of thinking, I have to resist this, shift to understanding what it's really costing you. Clear suggests a technique called highlighting the negative consequences. Before engaging in a bad habit, force yourself to say out loud what it will cost you. If I smoke this cigarette, I'm damaging my lungs and stealing years from my life. If I skip this workout, I'm breaking the promise I made to myself and staying stuck. Make the truth unavoidable. For building good habits, make them more attractive through temptation bundling. Pair something you need to do with something you enjoy. Only listen to your favorite podcast while exercising. Only watch your guilty pleasure show while folding laundry. Only eat at your favorite restaurant after completing a difficult task. You can also join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. If you want to read more, join a book club. If you want to get fit, surround yourself with active people. Humans naturally adopt the habits of their tribe. Use this to your advantage. Law 3. Make it easy or difficult. The third law focuses on the response, the actual behavior. Here's a truth that liberates. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Motivation is unreliable. What matters is reducing the friction for good behaviors and increasing the friction for bad ones. To break a bad habit, add obstacles. Make the bad behavior difficult to perform. Want to stop watching TV? Unplug it after each use and put the remote in a different room. Want to stop impulse buying? Delete shopping apps and remove saved payment information. Want to quit social media? Log out every time and use a long, complicated password. Each obstacle becomes a moment of pause, and often that pause is enough to break the automatic pattern. For building good habits, remove all friction. Clear introduces the 2-minute rule. Scale any habit down to something that takes 2 minutes or less. Want to read before bed? Start with reading 1 page. Want to run every morning? Start with putting on your running shoes. Want to meditate? Start with taking 3 deep breaths. This sounds too simple, but that's exactly why it works. The goal isn't to complete the full habit immediately. The goal is to show up consistently. Once you master showing up, you can expand, but you can't improve a habit that doesn't exist. 2 minutes creates the identity. Identity creates the lifestyle. Law 4. Make it satisfying or unsatisfying. The 4th law focuses on the reward, what keeps you coming back. We repeat behaviors that feel rewarding. We avoid behaviors that feel punishing. This is simple, but it's often ignored. Good habits frequently have delayed rewards. Bad habits usually offer immediate pleasure. To break a bad habit, make it immediately unsatisfying. Create consequences. Tell a friend that if you smoke a cigarette, you owe them $50. Set up a commitment device where failure has real costs. Make a public commitment so your reputation is on the line. Another powerful technique is getting an accountability partner. When someone else is watching, you're far less likely to slip. The social cost of disappointing someone often outweighs the pleasure of the bad habit. For building good habits, make the reward immediate and satisfying. Habit tracking is one of the most effective tools. Each day you complete your habit, mark an X on a calendar. Watching that chain grow becomes its own reward. You don't want to break the streak. Clear says, never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new bad habit. If you miss a day, get back on track immediately. Protect the streak with everything you have. The identity shift. Now here's the deepest insight from Atomic Habits. One that changes everything. Most people try to change their habits by focusing on outcomes. I want to lose weight. I want to write a book. I want to get rich. But this approach has a fatal flaw. Once you achieve the outcome or fail to achieve it, the motivation disappears. The real key is identity-based habits. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on who you want to become. There's a massive difference between I'm trying to quit smoking and I'm not a smoker. The first is someone fighting against their identity. The second has already shifted who they believe they are. When your identity changes, your habits follow naturally. A healthy person doesn't struggle to eat well. A writer doesn't struggle to write. A reader doesn't struggle to read. It's just who they are. So ask yourself, who is the type of person that could achieve what I want? What would that person do every day? Then start casting votes for that identity through small actions. Every time you write a page, you're casting a vote for being a writer. Every time you work out, you're casting a vote for being an athlete. Every time you resist a bad habit, you're casting a vote for being someone with discipline. Enough votes, and the identity becomes real. Putting it all together, let me give you a practical example. Say you want to build a reading habit and break a social media addiction. For reading, using the 4 laws, make it obvious by placing a book on your pillow. Make it attractive by choosing books you genuinely enjoy. Make it easy by starting with just 1 page. Make it satisfying by tracking your streak on a calendar. For social media, invert the laws. Make it invisible by deleting apps from your phone. Make it unattractive by writing down everything it costs you. Time, focus, mental peace. Make it difficult by only accessing it through a web browser with a complicated password. Make it unsatisfying by telling a friend to call you out whenever they see you mindlessly scrolling. Apply these principles to any habit.